Yeah, we're going to get into the top fives here, Dallin. And you know what? College football season is quickly approaching. You and I both love college football.
It's May, Mitch. It's approaching for us, though. We haven't stopped.
It's I cannot wait for football season to get here. I can't wait anymore. College football season, though, is upon us. And Dallin, there are a lot of programs that are going to have something to prove. They're going to have something to prove in 2023. And that's why on this week's edition of Mitch-Mo's Top 5 List of the Week, we're going to be doing the top 5 college football programs with something to prove in 2023. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. And this is really in no particular order. So we're just going to kind of run through them. I do have some honorable mentions, though. I do want to start with North Carolina.
Okay.
North Carolina as a team. Matt Brown's been there. It seems like they've been on the precipice of, being a contender for a long time, and stuff is just falling apart. But North Carolina got there. I got Alabama, probably their least impressive roster on paper in a long time, over the last decade at least. They're going to be in the honorable mentions. Clemson, Dabo Swinney. Does he still got it? Are they still going to be a powerhouse in that ACC? And continue to be a perennial playoff contender. LSU, another one. Chip Kelly over there with his fake Southern accent. Do you think that he can get it done in LSU? And then probably the biggest one of the honorable mentions, one I wanted to throw in the top 5 was Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And I do wanted to just stake my claim on this, is if Oklahoma doesn't turn this around this year and really make themselves prevalent once again in their last year in the Big 10 or Big 12, excuse me. They could be the next Nebraska.
Ooh,
they could be the next Nebraska as they go over to the SEC. They face stiffer competition, and they're just not able to keep up with everyone else. Oklahoma seems like if they don't have it done in the next 1 or 2 years, we're looking at a program that is consistently looking at 5-6 win seasons and not able to pull in the recruiting class that they should be. But
I like that. I like that take, Mitch. I'm with you there. That's great.
So I know we had talked about that before this show, and I
that was the one.
Secret.
I didn't see that. That was perfect. Yeah. That's perfect. And literally, it's so true. So true.
So we're just going to start from the top, and we're just going to work our way down. Usually we go from 5 to 1. We'll just start from the top, 1 to 5. So the first team I got on here, Notre Dame, a school with something to prove. They're in an interesting situation. I mean, this team started off really bad. Was it 0-3 to start the year last year? With Marcus Freeman, taking on his first season in the head coaching responsibilities. They wound up finishing 9-4 at number 18 in the nation, which is fine. But this is Notre Dame. This is one of the premier programs in the nation, with a lot of transfers that are leaving, a lot of transfers that are coming in. Is Marcus Freeman able to be an integral part in leading and building that program back to what it once was, and not slipping and falling off the cliff where you're looking at a 6-7 win season? Because I feel like that would be a devastating blow for Notre Dame, especially as an independent. Independents can really slip and fall that quick. Notre Dame is on that slippery edge right now, and I feel like if they don't really give themselves a good 2-year trajectory, a good 2-year plan, Marcus Freeman's going to be out, and they're going to be looking at a serious rebuild within that program over the next 2 years. So Notre Dame and Marcus Freeman really as a whole has something to really prove in 2023.
Yeah, I think that's great because, they definitely record-wise, they turn it around and it looks better at the end of the season when you see that 9-4 record. But, they got some – they beat Syracuse and Clemson in back-to-back weeks while both those teams were ranked, and both those teams were so overranked at that point and were clearly not. Clemson was ranked number 5 in the country in November. Are you kidding me? When at any point last season was Clemson a top 5 team, let alone in November? So Notre Dame beats them and all of a sudden, you get overinflated, you move up the rankings. I don't think that Notre Dame team was a 9-win team at all last year. I think they were more like a 6 or 7-win team. So yeah, I'm right there with you. They definitely have something to prove. Sam Hartman coming in from Wake Forest to be the new quarterback at Notre Dame, right? What does he look? But they lost Tommy Rees, the offensive coordinator who heads to your Crimson Tide. So there is going to be some changes in South Bend and some progress that needs to be made in year 2 of Marcus Freeman. That's a great pick.
I mean, and timing of losses is everything. If they didn't lose that game in November, they lose that game in September, the season's over. Like the season's over. They can't rebound from that. So, yeah, that's where I got Notre Dame at number 1. Number 2, Texas Longhorns. This really feels like a team that's like, if not now, when? They don't have any projection forward. I know they got Quinn Ewers. They brought in Arch Manning. Bijan Robinson is gone though. This just seems like a team that's. They bring in so many great, like pretty decent recruiting classes. They just can never really put it together, and I don't know if it's a institutional thing with Texas, if that's going to be their issue. But Texas is really at the point right now, especially as they're going to be leaving the Big 12 and moving over to the SEC, where the competition is going to be a lot stiffer. If not now, when? And right now, at this point, it seems like never. It seems like never for Texas, especially as they leave the Big 12 and go into the SEC. So they definitely have something to prove and something to step up and prove in 2023.
Yeah, and in that last year in the Big 12, I mean, the goal has to be to win the conference. It can't be any less than that, right? For Texas in their final year. I mean, they should be the preseason favorite in the Big 12 with Quinn Ewers, who people are even discussing as a draftable quarterback in next year's draft, which, like, let's stop this. Okay. Like, it's May 31st. I'm not in on this. Can we see some more like game film of this kid before we start, talking about him as a top 10 quarterback?
All we had was high school tape off of him. That's all we had was high school tape off of him.
It's ridiculous. But yeah, Texas, it needs to happen this year. They need to win 10 plus games. They need to win the Big 12. They really should be in the playoff discussion, right? That should be the goals. And that's the goal every year for Texas, and they never reach it. So I don't think they can with Steve Sarkisian at the helm, in my opinion. But, if there is a year, it has to be this one. I'm right there with you. Lots to prove in 2023.
A ton. And Steve Sarkisian, yeah, a ton to prove in 2012. Number 3, maybe a little bit of a surprise, but I got the University of Washington.
Yeah.
University of Washington. Can Kalen DeBoer build off the great first year that he had at UW? This was the first time that they had posted 11 games since Chris Peterson led the program to 12 wins in a college football playoff appearance in 2016. This is a team that seems like they're on the right track, right? We saw them consistently in the top 25. At one point, a potential contender for the playoffs. Washington seems like a team that's trending in the right direction. The big question for me is Michael Penix Jr. Can he continue to dodge the injury bug that plagued him at Indiana? Can he continue to dodge it? He stayed healthy all last year, and he played fantastic. Some people thought he was going to declare. People thought he was fantastic. Can Michael Penix continue to dodge that injury bug and play really, really well going into the 2023-2024 season? A guy that threw for 4,641 yards, 31 touchdowns last year. A lot to prove on Kalen DeBoer's part, but a lot to prove also on Michael Penix's part to prove, like, yes, I am one of the best quarterbacks in the country, and I am worthy of one of those top picks in next year's NFL draft because I am that guy. So Washington, for me, a team that I think is going to win 10 games next year, but I feel like at their peak is totally capable of winning 11 or 12.
Yeah, I mean, Washington should be clearly in the Pac-12 title conversation. Will probably be a dark horse playoff contender, right, on early preseason lists. Penix is certainly going to be in the Heisman watch at the beginning of the season, and rightfully so with what they were able to do in the first year of Kalen DeBoer with that 11-win season. But yeah, you're right. They got to prove it's not a flash in the pan, that it wasn't a fluke, right? That this is real. DeBoer is legit. Washington is legit. Penix is legit. I'm glad he came back. I'm glad he came back for this other season to prove that and to build upon that and really do something. Obviously, they weren't able to even make it to the Pac-12 title game last year. I'm sure it's a disappointment for them. So, I mean, and besides Penix, I mean, their pair of wide receivers, Romeo Aduns and Jalen McMillan, are extremely talented. They have a great skill position players around them. So the weapons are all there. The talent is all there. Can they just repeat that? Are they really as good as they looked at the end of last season? We shall find out. It's a great pick.
Can you believe it? I'm putting my faith in a left-handed quarterback.
I know. Crazy
stuff. Crazy stuff. Number 4 on the list, I got Texas A&M. Texas A&M. You got Jimbo Fisher there. He talked about having the best recruiting class in the nation last year, and then just completely shit the bed. I mean, of course. If arguably of all 5 of these teams that I have on here, they have the most to prove, because you bring in the top tier coach, right? The top tier program builder in Jimbo Fisher. And you hype your own self up. Like, other people are hyping you up, but you're hyping yourself up, and then you don't go out and perform. Texas A&M has a lot to prove. And I think if they fall short once again, sweep them under the rug. Jimbo Fisher is just another coach in college football, and we're really not worried about Texas A&M for years to come. We're really not worried about them because they just have not lived up to the hype that they were supposed to be. This is a make it or break it year for Texas A&M.
Yeah, I mean, they were the number 6 team in the country in the preseason AP poll. I mean, that was just, and we talked about it on this podcast at the time, and we told you that was absurd, and don't believe that, and that's not true. And I mean, they went 5-7 last year. This was clearly not that good of a team, and I mean, they had so many questions at quarterback. They threw 3 different guys out there, and none of them worked. Can they solve that this year? I think they got Joey Calzada they're going to be the quarterback this year, so. We'll see what that. Yeah, I don't have much confidence in them, but they certainly have something to prove. And we were discussing this in our show prep today, just how it feels like the SEC is weaker this year. It's not, with Levis and Richardson and a lot of the talent that has left the conference and teams sort of resetting. There's sort of an opening outside of Bama, Georgia, LSU at the top for somebody else to creep up there and be competitive. Like, it could be open for Texas A&M. They have clearly the talent with the recruiting talent they bring in. So why not them? If it's going to be this year, it should happen. But I mean, I'm not going to believe it will, but this is a good pick. They certainly need to prove it this year.
It's a believe it when you see it type situation with them. Absolutely.
Well, I just want to add one thing, as I just thought of this, but with Texas and Oklahoma coming in too in the future, that whole stake that you had on Texas and in that area in the SEC is gone. You're not the only Texas team in the SEC anymore in a year or so. If Texas and Oklahoma come in and you never proved that you were anything, they are immediately tier below Texas. Even in the SEC as a new team, Texas A&M is immediately a tier below Texas. Right? I mean, they haven't proven anything in the SEC. So I think this is a big year for Texas A&M to prove.
I don't know about that.
I don't think Texas A&M has proven enough in the SEC to clearly say we're a better team or better program.
Well, but Texas hasn't even proven anything, and they haven't proven anything in the Big 12 either. I mean, if you can't be a winner in the Big 12, how the hell can you expect to be a winner of the SEC?
So they could clearly come into this conference with Texas and Oklahoma and say,
the door is open.
We are above you guys, but they're leaving this door open with the way that they've performed recently. They could change that this year with a good year.
I get you. The door is open. Absolutely. The door is open definitely for them to be knocked down a peg below Texas. Absolutely. As they come into the SEC. But down number 5 on the list and the last one, and probably the second most, the team that has the second most to prove for me in college football this year is USC.
Yeah.
USC, I think this year, and you can make an argument that they are the team with the most approved, because I think with Caleb Williams coming back, what Lincoln Riley has established at USC, they have no more excuses. They have no more excuses, even though they lost Jordan Addison. They lost his big, wide receiver target. They have plenty of options there. Lincoln Riley is a proven winner, can build a great program. Caleb Williams is already being comped to Patrick Mahomes. If they don't make a college football playoff, it'll be a disappointing season for USC. I think that's where I'm at with them. If they aren't in the college football playoffs, it'll be a disappointment for USC. And it is the perfect opportunity for this school to reestablish the tradition of excellence, right? USC was constantly Rose Bowl, national championship. They were constantly in that conversation, and they haven't been for 10, 12 years. I mean, they haven't been there for a long time, really, since the sanctions came down on them. So, this is their opportunity to really reestablish that, and they have all the pieces in place to do it. If they're not a college football playoff team, this is the biggest disappointment of the college football season. USC, I'll redact my statement about Texas A&M. USC has the most to prove in 2023.
Yeah, I 100% agree with the defending Heisman winner at the quarterback, the presumed number 1 pick in the NFL draft next season. Yes, USC has to make the playoff. They failed last year by dropping that Pac-12 championship game to Utah and missing out on that playoff spot. They would have made it had they won that game. They would have been the 4 seed, and they didn't. And yeah, that has to be the goal. They absolutely have the most to prove. And it's not I don't think Caleb Williams has much to prove. The offense, the defense, though, is
the
what
defense was bad.
They were 94th in points per game allowed last year out of 130 so teams in college football. Yeah. That was the reason why they dropped the 3 games that they did, and why a lot of their games were more competitive than they should have been. So that defense has to improve. If they can get to top 50, I mean, it doesn't need to be Georgia. This isn't Georgia, Alabama. This ain't the SEC. It's okay. It's USC. But you can be a top 50 defense and a top 5 offense. They can do it. They can be there.
As explosive as that offense is, they're going to be a top 5 offense in the country. Yeah. If you could just be top 30, top 40 in the nation, you're good. You're good. That's all you have to do. Just don't suck ass like you did last year, because that's what bit you. That's what bit you and kept you out of a playoff. So, yeah. So I got USC as my 5th team with the most to prove in 2023.
Love it. Love it. Great top 5, my friend. Run through them one more time for the folks.
So the top 5 college football programs with something to prove in 2023. We got Notre Dame. We got the University of Texas. We have University of Washington. We got Texas A&M University. And then we got University of Southern California, USC.
There you go. Love it.
Not South Carolina, USC.
Yeah. Okay. Great top 5. Can't wait for college. I'm getting excited for college football season as well, Mitch. I mean, we are still a couple months away, but I feel like the momentum building towards it, and I am very excited to see how things play out